Sports.
We are Baltimore. We are Southwest.
As your Rangers go for a fifth straight win, one thing has stood out during the streak. These guys have picked each other up. Delino DeShields has filled in admirably for the injured Leonis Martin. And the bullpen was there to help out Nick Martinez last night. Tonight's starter, Giovanni Gallardo, looks to keep the streak going as the Rangers meet the Tampa Bay Rays next on Fox Sports Southwest. Texas Rangers baseball is presented by AT&T UVerse TV. Now, the Rangers perfect in 4 starts on the road this year. They're looking to make it number 5 tonight. It's the Tampa Bay Rays playing host to the Rangers under the big top that is Tropicana Field. And welcome in, everyone, along with Mark McLemore, Steve Busby. Glad you could join us for this Friday night of Rangers baseball. And the Rangers are hot. They are hotter than the upcoming summer in Texas, and they hope to stay that way. They are facing a young man this evening they have never faced before. He's from Arlington Martin High School, and it is Nate Carnes. And by all reports, Mac, this young man has good stuff.
Yeah, he really does, Buzz. And, he came up last year and made a couple of starts in September with a 1-1 record, and then made the rotation in spring training coming into this year. And he's 1-1 right now with an ERA of 4. But in 3 of the 6 starts he's had, he's only given up 2 runs or less. So that's a pretty good accomplishment. Now, he's very tough to hit. He's got a 181 ERA runs or batting average against. So he's done the job. And it looks a little bit like he's been hit or miss. He's given up 6 runs in one outing, 5 in another. But right now he's been pitching the ball pretty well. So he's going to be going up against a very, very hot Rangers lineup. And they'll have Giovanni Gallardo on the hill for the Rangers tonight. So he hopes to keep things going in a positive direction for this ball club. Rougned Odor not in there tonight, but his buddies will be in there competing against the Rays. We'll have more from Tropicana Field right after this.
is brought to you by your Texas Ford dealers. The EcoBoost Challenge is on at your Texas Ford dealer. Get to your best in Texas Ford dealer today. By AT&T Uverse TV. Uverse has more live TV channels on the go than cable. And by Southwest Airlines. Book your low fare now at southwest.com. It looks like to be a little larger crowd filing into Tropicana Field tonight. A very intimate gathering last night, and Friday night should produce a few more folks in the stands. Rangers getting ready, seeking their 5th straight win. And before we get things underway, let's head down to the field, check in with John Redigan.
Yeah, Buzz, we learned earlier in the week that on those days when Carlos Corcoran is behind the plate, he calls it Corpy Day, and he runs through the clubhouse as a bundle of energy and enthusiasm that's downright infectious. He was more enthusiastic and excited today because he's catching Giovanni Gallardo, and these two go way back.
I caught him, most of his start when we were teammates in Brewers organization. I know him very well. We were buddies for a long time, so we are really good communication and really good friendship. So that's something that we will bring tonight.
They were actually roommates for a time when they were in that Milwaukee organization as well. So now you know the battery for tonight's game. Come back and check out the entire lineup. We'll bring you the lineups in the first pitch as the Rangers try to make it 5 in a row against the Tampa Bay Rays in just a moment.
Here in Southwest Florida, and Rays and Rangers getting set to match up. Here's Mark McLemore with the Southwest Airlines Texas Rangers starting lineup.
All right, the leadoff hitter tonight, Shin-Soo Choo in right field. Elvis Andrews playing short, batting second. Prince Fielder's the DH hitting in third spot. Adrian Beltre is the cleanup hitter playing third base. Kyle Blanks will be at first base batting fifth. Carlos Peguero in left batting sixth. Carlos Corcoran's doing the catching, batting seventh. Adam Rosales is going to play second base tonight and hit eighth. Delino DeShields will be in center field batting ninth.
And that lineup will be facing Nate Carnes, a 6'3" right-hander, 27 years old, out of Arlington, Texas. He grew up in Arlington, went to Martin High School, and was drafted originally out of high school by the Astros. Did not sign. Instead went to North Carolina State and then on to Texas Tech. And he is 1-1 this year, but he has a very lively fastball and a power curveball. He'll throw an occasional changeup, but walks have been a problem, as you would think, for an inexperienced pitcher at the big league level, and the first time to pitch against his hometown team, the Texas Rangers. And he, no doubt, will have a few butterflies going around. Not every day that you get an opportunity to pitch against some folks that you grew up watching out at Globe Life Park. A Shin-Soo Choo to start things off here tonight. Choo stepping in, batting at 159, but that has been on the rise. This is fifth game in the leadoff spot. And Carnes with the first pitch of the night misses with a fastball. It is 1-0. Choo, 3 home runs, 12 RBI. He is tied for the team lead with the 3-round trippers. The 12 RBI, second on the club to Prince Fielder. And that pitch in the dirt. It is 2-0. Carnes was selected by the Washington Nationals out of college after he completed his college career. 12th round of the 2009 draft. And Choo rips it foul down the first base side. Nate made his major league debut in 2013 with the Nationals in 3 games. Went 0-1. Got his first major league win last year. Here were the Tampa Bay Rays. Appeared in 2 ball games for the Rays. Went 1-1 with a .450. And this year into the starting rotation for Tampa Bay. Pitch fouled down. That evens things out now to Choo at 2 balls and 2 strikes. You mentioned Nate Carnes. Very much a power pitcher. A good 4-seam fastball. He'll elevate it. Also turn the ball over from time to time. A little 2-seam fastball. But he has that power curveball that he uses against both left-handers and right-handers. And the power part of it being pretty close to 85 miles an hour on the curveball. He gets a strikeout here, and that has been his forte throughout his minor league career, the strikeout. 1 gone. Let's take a look at the Rays defense that will back up Nate Carnes here tonight. Outfield has DeJesus, Kiermaier, and Sousa. Left, center, and right. Loney at first. Beckham to start at second with Asdrubal Cabrera back in the lineup. He's at short. Jake Elmore at third. Rene Rivera is the catcher tonight, and Nate Carnes is on the hill. Now Carnes, throughout his minor league career, had 515 strikeouts in 449 innings. So that's well over a strikeout per inning as a minor league. Elvis Andrus, .230 hitter. There's that big curveball, and it missed outside. It's 1-1. Elvis, a home run, 8 driven in. Carnes back to the plate. Now 2-1. Now the Rangers come in not only in a 4-game winning streak, but they are also in 3rd place in the American League West. Only a half game behind the Los Angeles Angels for that 2nd spot. Rangers still 6.5 behind Houston. Pretty well hit to center field. That chases Kiermaier back for out number 2.
Yeah, Buzz, they're not very far. There's not a whole lot of room between second and last, or second and fifth in the division. So winning 1 or 2 games can vault you from last place right into second place. And the Astros are, they won last night, so they are back on a winning streak. So you're not giving up much ground, although the Rangers picked up 3 big games,
right,
sweeping them down there at their place.
Yeah, first time the Rangers had gained ground on the Astros in better than 2 weeks. 2 away, bases empty for Prince Fielder. Fielder a .342 average. Fouls off that breaking ball that stayed up for him. It's 0-1. Prince an RBI single in last night's ball game, leading the team with those 14 driven in. Couple of home runs. On base percentage up where you would expect a healthy Prince Fielder to have it, .402.
And that's been the key, Buzz, just being healthy. This, some fans may be surprised that he's doing what he's doing, but this is exactly what he's done his entire career, with the exception of last year. And unfortunately, it was his first year with the Rangers.
That pitch off the plate is 2-1. Yeah, and we forget what he had been able to do in Milwaukee, right in the middle of that lineup. He was not only a power guy, he was a guy that get on base all the time. He had on base percentage up around 40%. Up the middle, That got a piece of Carnes, and it gets a piece of Cabrera and ricochets into left center. That ball was a rocket, a low skimming rocket. Looked like it was playing pinball with it. Off the pitcher, off the shortstop, into center field.
That's called hitting the ball hard when it goes through two guys. Gets a ball down in the zone and right back up the box. That's why I didn't pitch. I don't know how you did that. You did ball. Yeah. Not much you can do. He didn't get out of the way of that ball. The ball just missed him.
And his shins are saying thank you right now for it. That's going to be a base hit, and rightfully so. Their center fielder almost got handcuffed by it. He was the third guy to touch it. No, 1 on, 2 out. Here's Beltre. Adrian, a .235 average now. Adrian, a couple of home runs, 5 driven in. Trying to pick up Prince Fielder at first base. Nothing and 1 on the foul ball. Now the Rangers, coming on the road, have gotten their offense in gear. They have swung the bats as well, if not better, in this 4-game streak that they have the entire year. They're hitting .266 for the month of May, and that includes the last part of the homestand before they came on the road. Games against Oakland. Last 3 ball games, club has gone 11 for 28 with runners in scoring position. The reason I bring that up is they were in a miserable funk in that specific category prior to that, and they've gotten that turned around. And I would think, Mac, that's one of those things that's contagious, isn't it? The runners in scoring position, one guy gets a hit, and you feel like the monkey's off your back, and everybody starts doing it.
It really is, and there's that friendly competition. The guy in front of you got a hit, the guy behind you got a hit. I don't want to be the only guy that doesn't get a hit and drive in a run. So yes, it's very contagious, and you get to watch what that pitcher's doing, and sometimes that helps you.
Our Ford leaderboard shows you the league leaders the month of May. Rangers right down there in 5th spot behind the Angels, Royals, Indians, and Twins. A .290 team batting average for the month. And Beltre, again, expanding his strike zone just a bit. Foul ball, and it stays 1 and 2. Adrian, a 4-game hitting streak as he comes into play here tonight. Hit in all 4 games of this road trip at a .333 clip. He's gone 6 for 18. Checked his swing. There's that sharp curveball from Carnes. It's 2 and 2. One thing of note, Adrian Beltre now has the 2nd longest consecutive games played streak in baseball. Evan Longoria did not play in last night's ball game. His streak was stopped at 270 consecutive games. So Freddie Freeman currently at 196, followed by Beltre. To right field, Sousa reaches up to make the grab, and that'll do it. Rangers get a hit, but Strander runner. We played a half inning in St. Petersburg. Rangers nothing. Rays coming up. the Amica Tampa Bay Rays starting lineup.
Kevin Kiermaier leadoff playing center field. Steven Souza Jr. is in right field batting second. James Loney's the first baseman batting third. Evan Longoria is back in the lineup and DHing in the fourth slot. David DeJesus is playing left batting fifth. Tim Beckham's going to play second base tonight and bat sixth. As Drupal Cabrera is going to bat seventh, play shortstop. Jake Elmore is the third baseman batting eighth. Rene Rivera is doing the catching and batting ninth.
And Kevin Kiermaier leading things off against Giovanni Gallardo. And Kiermaier slices one to left, but right at Carlos Peguero for out number one. And Giovanni Gallardo, the 29-year-old from Fort Worth, Texas. 2-4 this year, a 4.05. Pretty good numbers considering that he hasn't had any runs scored behind him. He's become a ground ball pitcher, much more so than he ever was in the National League. And that's done a couple things. It's helped him get deeper into ball games, and it's also cut down on his number of pitches per inning that he's had to use. So he tends to be a little bit fresher as the inning itself goes along. Gallardo's pretty much become a fastball, or I should say a sinking fastball, slider type pitcher. A little looping drive foul off the bat of Steven Souza.
I think him getting ground balls has really helped him. He's had some double plays turned behind him, and I think that's one reason he can, his pitch count has come down.
Right.
Getting those double plays and getting out of some tough situations.
0-2 the count. Now a ball and 2 strikes. Now Giovanni has received 2 or fewer runs of support in 5 of his 6 appearances this year. So he would be pleased that that same offense that's been going for the Rangers on this trip showed up tonight.
Oh, I'm sure he would. It's tough to win when you're only getting 2 runs of support behind you. Doesn't matter how good you pitch.
Yeah.
You're going to make a mistake sooner or later, and the other team's going to score.
He jams Sousa and gets a ground ball to short for out number 2. And we'll take a look at the rest of the Ranger defense delivered to you tonight by Break Check. You saw Peguero in left. The Shields is in center. Chu is in right. Blanks at first. Rosales at second tonight again. Elvis Andrews, the shortstop. Adrian Beltre at third. Carlos Corporan catching his old minor league roomie, Giovanni Gallardo. 2 up, 2 away in the bottom of the first inning. James Loney, the first baseman. Stepping in from the left side against a familiar foe for him. Loney and Gallardo have matched up 17 previous times. Loney 5 for 17. That's been pretty typical of Loney's career. He's near a 300 hitter lifetime. Struggling a bit this year after missing the first couple of weeks with that slight oblique strain. And there have been questions about whether he is even now completely recovered from that oblique strain or whether he's favoring it a bit. Month of May, just hitting 138.
Yeah, that's a tough injury to deal with and even come back from. Even if you're out, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, however long it is, when you come back, you're still thinking, man, if I take a rip or if I move really quickly, you still have it in the back of your mind, and that's one thing you don't want to have, and that's a very difficult injury to come back from.
Pitch is high. I understand for a hitter that's got to be a very delicate thing to try and rehab and get well for you. But that really is true for all injuries, isn't it? When you come back, how tough is the mental part of it of getting over it? Well, that hurt before, so my body's going to be okay this time. And that little tapper back to the mound will end things. Gallardo has a very quick and tidy 1-2-3 first. We played one at Tropicana Field. No score. Rangers and the Rays. 13th. Rangers taking on the defending AL champs, Kansas City Royals. Come on out to Globe Life Park. Enjoy the ballpark hot dogs for just $1 each. Visit TexasRangers.com for tickets, or, as always, you can call 972-RANGERS if you prefer. Now the Rangers come to bat in the second inning. Scoreless ball game. Rangers had the only base runner, a Prince Fielder single in the first, and Kyle Blanks will start things off against Nate Carnes. There's that big curveball that he starts Blanks off with that bends over the inside corner. Kyle, a couple of hits again last night. He's hitting .375, 3 home runs, 5 driven in. And the Rays getting that shift going. They shift to the left side now with the right-handed hitting Blanks, with second baseman Beckham 4 or 5 steps onto the third base side of second. 1-2. Kyle, a 4-game hitting streak that's seen him go 7 for 17.
This is something unusual, seeing a big shift against a right-hander. You typically see it against most left-handers, or big power-hitting left-handers. This is more of an alignment that I would use as opposed to having that second baseman on the shortstop side of the bag. I don't particularly like putting 3 guys on one side of the field.
I would imagine you'd have to make sure your second baseman has a strong enough arm to play over there, wouldn't you?
You definitely have to have that. And Beckham played shortstop last night, right, so he definitely has the arm to make it. But not all second basemen do.
Yeah. 3-2 the count. That ball's hammered to left, but it's hooking, and it goes foul. Well, Blanks bidding for his 4th home run in his 8th ball game. And it was 15 or 20 feet foul when it went by the pole. Well, this big guy can lay some lumber on the ball.
Carnes left that one up in the zone. Blanks just yanked it just a little too far foul.
Good checky swing on the breaking ball. It's in the dirt, and Rivera will record the out at first. Second strikeout for Nathan Carnes. A 3-2 breaking ball. Kyle Blanks retired. Now Carlos Peguero will come up. Well, I think you can see already why Carnes would have had so many strikeouts in the minor league level. That's a nasty hook.
Yeah, you're not going to have many guys in the minor leagues that are going to be able to hold up from that one. They're going to be swinging before he throws it.
And not having faced Carnes, most of the Ranger hitters are unfamiliar with him, other than what they saw on the tapes. But I don't think that's going to prepare you for what that really looks like in person.
It doesn't. It's good to have a reference to be able to see it on tape, but there's no substitute for being in that batter's box and seeing it live. That's when you really know how it breaks. What's the tilt on that breaking ball? How's the fastball? It may say 93, but is it a sneaky 93? Or is it a 93 that he shows you from the time he decides that's what he's going to throw? So being in that batter's box, that's the real experience that you need.
Peguero taking that pitch outside, 2-1.
A sneaky 93, I mentioned that, is if a guy, a left-hander or right-hander, hides the ball. It's typically a guy that throws across his body. They can keep his back to the hitter for an awfully long time. Then all of a sudden, as he comes around, the last thing you're going to see is the baseball. As opposed to, Carnes isn't real sneaky. You can pretty much see his release point and where and the ball right out of his hand. But a lot of times, with guys that are sneaky, you see body and then arm and ball.
3 balls and 2 strikes now. Second straight full count for Carnes in this inning. You got the first one, Kyle Blanks, to go down swinging. And we'll see what Carlos Peguero is able to do on this 3-2 pitch. Outside, ball 4. We got our answer pretty quickly. Fastball tailing away from Peguero, and he took it. Peguero has shown the ability and inclination to draw some walks now. He is second on the team in walks in about half the total of bats of the team leaders.
Yeah, not playing every day and have that amount of walks. That's pretty good. That's, not only is he aggressive, but he's also patient. He tries to wait for something that he can hit and drive. And he has a pretty good strike zone, a good idea of what his strike zone is.
We got one on with one out. Carlos Corcoran, switch hitting catcher, steps in from the left side and fouls that first pitch into Rivera's glove for strike one. Corcoran, last 5 ball games, not a very impressive batting average, but he has been on base with hits and walks and hit by pitches in those ball games. Fouled away to the left, 0-2. Matter of fact, 10 of the last 11 games for Corcoran, he's been on base, including all 10 of his starts this year, either by a hit, a walk, or being hit by a pitch. Peguero with pretty good speed at first base. 0-2 is the count.
Danny's been using Corcoran and Chirino's pretty good over the early part of the season. Not wearing them down, making sure both of them stay sharp.
Corcoran got caught looking at that knee-high fastball that cut its way into the inside corner. And Carlos has something to say to Paul Nark, the home plate umpire, on his way back to the Ranger dugout.
All down at the bottom of the zone. Got a lot of the plate. Probably not what he was looking for.
And I think looking that into Rivera's glove, too. Rivera was set up way outside, and that ball just about the full width of the plate off the target. And I think Corcoran might have seen that when he looked back, too, and said, hey, how can that be a strike?
And I'm pretty sure he wasn't really arguing that if it was a strike or not. He was probably just telling Paul, I want that on the other side, too.
Yeah. Yeah, catchers have to be careful about that.
Yes.
No, 2 gone. Adam Rosales, 161 average, steps in. Peguero still at first. And the big breaking ball veers off the outside corner. It's 1-0. Rosales on this trip in just about every other day in the starting lineup. Rougned Odor struggling offensively, so Jeff Bannister's giving him some time to do some extra work in the cages before the game and even before batting practice. Rosales has had the starts when Odor has been on the shelf. But as those numbers told you, Adam in a little bit of a downturn offensively. Just 1 for his last 14. And that came right on the heels of a 4-game hitting streak. So it has been very much a roller coaster. 2-0 pitch coming from Carnes. Hit pretty well to center field. Kiermaier going back, but just shy of the warning track. Able to haul that in. And the Rangers are gone in the second. No runs, no hits. The Walker left stranded. After 1.5, we are scoreless in St. Pete. Rangers and Rays scoreless. Giovanni Gallardo out to start his second inning of work, and he's facing Evan Longoria. He deals strike one. Longoria out of last night's ball game. He originally was scheduled to be the DH, but he's been bothered by the flu-like symptoms for the last couple of days. And Rays sent him home yesterday. He had been bothered the last day in Boston, Wednesday in Boston. And Rays said, "No, you go ahead and go on home. Don't get the rest of us sick." So he missed the game and stopped his consecutive games played streak at 270. Back in there tonight, though, down on the count, 1 ball, 2 strikes. Rays franchise all-time leader in a lot of offensive categories.
He's been a pretty good player ever since coming up. It's the guy in the Rays lineup that you don't want to let beat you.
2-2 pitch. Right center field. Chu on the move, and Shinsu there to haul it in for out number 1. No, Longoria retired. Gallardo now has retired all 4 that he has faced. It'll bring up David DeJesus. DeJesus, a .294 hitter. 1 home run, 10 driven in. 14 at-bats against Giovanni Gallardo, and DeJesus is a .286 hitter in those 14 at-bats with a home run. 1 ball, no strikes. Four-game hitting streak for DeJesus. You've seen him go 7 for 14. 1-1. This is only the second time that Gallardo has faced the Tampa Bay Rays in his career. Faced them, a member of the Brewers last July. Had an excellent outing, worked 7 innings of shutout baseball, just 4 hits and 5 strikeouts. Matched up with David Price and came away the victor in that ball game. 2-1, the count to DeJesus. Well hit right center field. Chu is going back. He is at the wall. That ball's gone. David DeJesus, his second career home run off of Giovanni Gallardo, and the Rays have a 1-0 lead.
Gallardo was trying to go down in the zone with a fastball. Caught a little bit too much of the plate. DeJesus not a big home run hitter. Tried to get that ball in. It caught a little bit too much of the plate, and that's the happy zone for most lefties, down and in. You just dropped the hit on it. It's probably going to go a long way, and that one did.
Boy, it sure did. Second home run of the year for DeJesus, and his first RBI at home this year. He now has 10 on the road and 1 here at the Trop. Here's Tim Beckham going after that first pitch, and couldn't quite get the breaking ball.
See Corpy set up inside. That ball came back out ran out over the plate. Looked like it was going to start on the inside part of the plate, but caught a little bit too much of the plate.
Trying to get one of those comeback fastballs to knock the hitter back and sneak it in there.
Yeah, I didn't like those.
Pretty tough unless you're dead sure that the hitter's looking out away from it.
Right. Greg Maddux was probably the best at it that I ever saw.
Yeah. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Yeah, and because Maddux could do it doesn't mean that everybody else can do it too. That takes some special talent to do anywhere close to what he was able to do. Still a ball and 2 strikes. Well, for Gallardo, the home run is 5th allowed in about 35 innings this year. Beckham back in there. 1 ball, 2 strikes. That will even the count. Beckham at 226 for the season. Got a little pop. 3 home runs. 11 RBI for him. Rosales had to stay down on that skimmer. Able to throw Beckham out 2 away.
Good way to stay down on it, Rosie. Those little skimmers, especially off turf, are no fun.
I'm going to ask you, does the turf make that more difficult than on grass, or is it a little bit easier?
Well, when you're going like this field from turf to dirt, it can be difficult because the bounce is going to change from the turf to the dirt. Mm-hmm. Now, if it's all turf, then there shouldn't be a problem. You're going to get that same true hop all the time unless there's some spin off the ball when you hit it, and you'll be able to pick that up pretty much right away. But when you're going from turf to dirt, I didn't particularly like that. If the field was going to be turf, let the whole thing be turf.
Uh-huh. There's Asdrubal Cabrera. Did not see the veteran shortstop last night. He's mired in a pretty good slump offensively. So Kevin Cash, the Rays skipper, gave him last night off. Cabrera 0 for his last 11 times to the plate. And you go back even a little further than that, he's just 2 for 27. He's a switch hitter up there from the left side. The 0-2 pitch. Gallardo back to him. Little looper out on a shallow right shoe. In a hurry, coming on and slides as he makes the catch about cap high. Got a rug burn coming on that one for Shin-Soo Choo. Well, that'll do it for the Rays. They do get a run on David DeJesus' home run. We'll go to the third, 1-0 Tampa Bay. Friday, May 15th. That follows the game with the Rangers and the Indians, and fans will enjoy a fireworks show paying tribute to breast cancer awareness. Get $14 upper reserve tickets using the online coupon code FIREWORKS at TexasRangers.com/specials. Well, the Rangers now trailing 1-0. This is the first time since last Monday night that they have trailed in a ball game. That was against Houston, the first game against Dallas Keuchel down at Minute Maid. Rangers trailed going into the 8th inning of that contest. Came back to win it 2-1. Trailing here tonight, 1-0. And Delano DeShields, a rip and a miss, finds himself down in the count. No balls, 2 strikes.
Carnes going up in the zone to DeShields with that fastball. And we started talking about it last night, Buzz. The reason that you see a lot of guys swing at that fastball up high in the zone is because the closer the ball is to your eyes, the better you see it. So as a hitter, you think you see it well, that means I can hit it. Not the case, as you well know.
Well, from my standpoint as a pitcher, it's a good thing you guys feel that way.
And then they're just, there are guys that just like the high pitch.
Yeah.
You get it up there, they're swinging. Doesn't matter what it is, fastball, curveball, hanging anything. If it's up, they're swinging.
2-2 pitch, and Delino throws it at home plate. One gone, and before Shin-Soo Choo steps in, let's send it back to Rick Renner for a Mazda game break. All right, Rick, thank you. Shin-Soo Choo struck out as he opened things up here tonight for the Rangers. Carnes has struck out 4 of the first 9, as a matter of fact. 1-0 pitch. And that breaking ball hangs high. It is 2-0 to Choo. Shin-Soo is on a pretty good double streak. He's had 6 doubles in his last 7 ball games. Saw the 8 base hits for the month, the extra base hits, and Choo's average is climbing, but not nearly as quickly as the extra base hits are mounting up. 7-game streak alive for Shin-Soo. 3-1 the count here. I'll give you our Coors Light cold hard fact. Rangers have at least 1 double in 27 consecutive games. That's the second longest streak in team history. 34 games back in 1996. Cold hard fact brought to you by Clean Crisp Coors Light. And a 1-out walk for Shin-Soo Choo, so he is aboard. Elvis Andrus now coming up. That double streak is one of the things you hear and you say, oh, that's nice. And you start thinking about it, and that's not that easy to do.
No, it's not. It's not. Not at all. You've got some big hitters. That definitely helps things.
Elvis, a fly ball to center back in the first inning. And Carnes now struggling with command of his breaking ball in this inning just a bit. And Rivera going to go out and have a chat with the right-hander. We mentioned the impressive strikeout totals for Carnes in the minor leagues. And he just carried that over for the most part into the major leagues. But, again, the command of the breaking ball, the big thing, because he's not going to get as many swings at breaking balls that are out of the strike zone at the big league level that he did in the minor leagues. And he's been working, he says, on refining his mechanics a bit, trying to simplify them some so they're more repeatable. Which I think if you were to say, what's a good tip for any young pitcher, it's to make your mechanics repeatable and user-friendly, so you know what you're doing.
Well, it's pretty much the same thing for a hitter as well. You want to be able to repeat it as consistently as possible. Of course, that's when you're doing it the right way.
Right.
You don't want to do it the wrong way. And it's a lot harder than people realize to do it, to be able to repeat that, whatever it is, whether it's pitching or hitting,
sure,
over and over and over. The slightest little thing can throw so many other things that follow out of whack.
Mm-hmm. One pitch. Elvis showing bunt, takes a strike. It's 1-2. And our producer, Kurt Dykert, who's a big golfer, brings up to us, just like golf. Yeah, it's the same thing. Any athletic movement that you need to do over and over again is much better if it's simple, because the more simple it is, the more repeatable it can be. And the more simple it is, the easier it is to fix if something gets out of whack. Hard part is getting it simple. 2 balls, 2 strikes now.
People ask me why, when you look back at history, in baseball history anyway, most batting champs are not very tall. You don't see too many 6'6" guys, 6'5" guys that are batting champs. And it's not that they can't hit. It's just that their body's so long, it's tougher for them to be able to repeat that motion time in and time out.
Diving stop by Cabrera. He gets one at second. And what a play by Asdrubal Cabrera. A full headlong dive to his right. Came up with it, almost turned that into a double play. But a great play just to get the force at second.
Cabrera, one of the best shortstops in the game, dives to his left, takes a hit away from Elvis, over to Beckham for one. You get Chu at second, but not enough time to get Elvis going down to first base. Makes a great catch and a great throw.
Well, Elvis, highway robbery by his counterpart, Asdrubal Cabrera. Now Anderson first with 2 outs. Here's Prince Fielder, who owns the only Ranger hit tonight. He hit a scorcher up the middle his first time that didn't ricochet off of Nate Carnes, but it got by him and ricocheted off of Cabrera's glove. It was hit so hard it skidded all the way out into left center field. Fastball for a strike, and that evens the count at 1-1. So Prince with a base hit, now an 8-game hitting streak, and this year against right-handers, the second highest average in the American League for Fielder, 388 at the moment. Carnes a check of first, and he will go that way to drive Elvis back. Rangers have gotten the running game going a bit. They have been successful in 16 of their last 19 attempts. Came into play tonight tied for 4th in the American League, 21 stolen bases as a team. Foul back. And let's take a look at our T-Mobile game changer. Talking of Prince Fielder and Ranger leader in average, 342, RBI with 14, on base percentage at 402, and slugging percentage at 468. All those numbers coming in to the ball game tonight. Of course, with that base hit, some of those numbers have gone up. Big swing and a miss on the breaking ball, and Carnes, with his 5th strikeout, sends the Rangers down in the 3rd. 1 man left after 2 1/2. 1-0 Rays over the Rangers. Rangers baseball on Fox Sports Southwest is brought to you by your Texas Ford dealer. The EcoBoost Challenge is on at your Texas Ford dealer. Get to your best in Texas Ford dealer today. Yeah, beautiful shot of St. Petersburg Beach. And inside at the drop, Giovanni Gallardo goes back to work. Trailing 1-0 here in the bottom of the third inning. And Jake Elmore starting things off will be Elmore Rivera. And back to the top of the order for Kevin Kiermaier. Elmore hitting at an even .300. Limited time this year with the Rays. He has bounced around the last several years with ball clubs at the major league level. Low and outside, 1 ball and 2 strikes. Spent parts of 3 seasons with Arizona, Houston, and Cincinnati. A utility type player, the very versatile guy that knows how to play the game. Call, strike 3. And he's got a good eye, too. He looked that one all the way into the catcher's glove.
He knew.
First strikeout for Gallardo tonight. 1 away, and Rene Rivera coming up.
Gallardo starts his ball on the outside part of the plate. And it tails back in and catches that corner. It's the one he tried to throw to Jesus.
Mm-hmm.
But he caught too much of the plate, not that time. Caught enough and throws Elmore.
Here's the Rays catcher. Rivera hitting just 136. He has had a couple of long hitless streaks. He go for 3 in his career against Giovanni Gallardo. Check swing on the breaking ball. And the appeal down to first. Ed Hickok said no swing. 2-0. Rivera snapped an 0 for 18 last Wednesday, his last game with the Rays in Boston. And that was the second longest hitting stretch, or hitless stretch, he had this year. He also had an 0 for 17. Blanks right at the railing and couldn't get over there quite far enough to be able to stop. He was reaching the whole way and didn't really know where he was. Now, I got to tell you, the warning track here is not really a warning track. It's colored a different color, but it's the same material.
No, that's tough because what the warning track really is supposed to be, it's supposed to warn you that the wall is close. But when you have the same surface, you don't have a warning. It may be a different color, but you're not looking at the color. You're trying to feel something under your feet.
Yeah, unless your shoes are color sensitive, you're not going to know. Adrian Beltre gets an assist on that ground ball. There's a good look at it. Same material as the stuff that's green colored. And the turf is the turf. It doesn't feel any different. And the fans would think, well, there's a warning track there. Same color as the mound, and everything else is dirt around it. But that's not dirt. It's faux dirt. Here's Kevin Kiermaier, who hit a slicing line drive to left for an out his first time. 1 ball, 1 strike. Kiermaier, the team leader with those dozen extra base hits. One pitch. 2 balls and a strike.
Kiermaier's a guy who can cover some ground out there in center field. Didn't really realize how fast he was. I knew he can run, but didn't realize how fast he was until I saw him running yesterday down the first baseline.
A soft one hopper down to Ana Rosales. And that'll do it. It's a 1-2-3 inning. Giovanni Gallardo sends down the Rays in order. 1-0 Tampa Bay after 3. and alumni for the Park Place Dealerships Texas Ranger Triple Play Game Show Spectacular. This year will be the Big Top Bash on Sunday, May 17th at the Hilton Anatole. Proceeds benefit the Texas Ranger Baseball Foundation. And to purchase tickets or for more information, visit TexasRangers.com/triple play, or you can call 817-436-5933. Adrian Beltre with that little tapper, and he was going to lull Nate Carnes to sleep, make a U-turn, and Carnes wasn't buying it.
Carnes was like, I'm not going to play that game. I'll just flip it over to first base.
Yeah, come here. No, never mind. No, Beltre out on one pitch, and now Kyle Blanks comes up. Blanks, a strikeout in the second inning as he led things off. Carnes has struck out 5. 5 of the first 13 hitters that he's faced. Just missed with that one. 1 ball, 1 strike. But Nate Carnes, as is his MO, 61 total pitches, 33 strikes, 28 balls. So it's just barely over a 50% proposition. That's one of the things he's been working on. That's really the impetus to work on the mechanics, to get them refined to where it's more repeatable for him. He can throw strikes more consistently. Why is another reason why he also wants to develop a good feel for that changeup and employ that, especially against left-handed hitters. He's fallen behind Blanks now, 3-1. Right field, not very deep. Sousa coming on. That is out number 2. Well, Kyle Blanks, a towering pop out. Next will be Carlos Peguero. Peguero drew a walk his first time up there. And for Carlos, that was his 11th walk this year. That is the most on the Ranger club.
Most on the club, and about half of the at-bats is the regular guys.
That's right.
And tied for the team lead in home runs.
Yeah, oh, by the way. Elvis Andrus also with 10. And Jake Smolinski with 10 walks. Peguero now with 11. High and outside. And the count moves to 2-1. Now Carlos with 46 at bats as opposed to Elvis Andrus 113 at bats. Pop foul. That will twist its way back out of play. And the count evens at 2 balls and 2 strikes. Well, Carlos Peguero trying to put it together for longer than just this one streak that he's having. The streak that he had when he first came up early in April. Calls strike 3. Well, Carnes with 6 strikeouts now through the first 4 innings sends the Rangers out in order. First time he's done that tonight. After 3.5, Rays 1, Rangers nothing. you by Southwest Airlines. Book your low fare now at southwest.com. And by the Mazda 6. J.D. Power has awarded the Mazda 6 highest ranked vehicle appeal among midsize cars. And we start off the bottom of the fourth inning. Steven Souza takes a strike from Giovanni Gallardo. Souza, Loney, and Longoria, the first three here in the fourth inning. Rays leading 1-0 on the strength of David DeJesus. Home run in the second. Souza, a ground ball to short back in the first inning. .222 average. He is among the rookie leaders in the American League in several categories. Home runs, RBI. Takes a strike here, and he is gone looking. Didn't realize until Paul Nart screamed out strike three.
There's that two-seamer by Gallardo. Starts it off the outside part of the plate. And for a right-hander, that's a tough pitch. He thinks, hey, that ball's off the plate, not going to be a strike. And from the Fox tracker, probably not, but that's not what Paul said back there.
He's the one that has the final word.
Yeah, we'll go with that right now.
Yeah. Here's James Loney. Hit a tapper right back to Gallardo in the first inning tonight. .222 average for Loney. And Gallardo makes it 2 balls, no strikes. Loney now 0 for his last 7 times to the plate. In the last 8 ball games in the month of May anyway, you've seen his batting average drop better than 100 points. Came into May hitting at .333. He's now down to .226 or .222, I should say. The time he spent on the disabled list this year, from the 7th to the 23rd of April, his first time on the DL in his major league career. Pops the next one up, foul territory. Beltre and Chirinos. It is Chirinos to make the catch, and Beltre jumping out of the way to avoid it. Corcoran, excuse me.
Yeah, Corcoran and Beltre having a little fun over there. Beltre went a long way to get it, but Corcoran got there just before Beltre and having some fun. Looks like Corcoran has just as much fun as Beltre does out there on the field.
Carlos saying, hey, get out of my way, will you? I got that under control. Now 2 up, 2 away. Here is Evan Longoria.
Corcoran get under it, call it. Beltre hopping, getting out of the way. Then Corcoran bounces the ball. Here, take it. It's yours. I had that all the way.
Longoria taking a little time to get back in the batter's box after that foul ball. 0-1 pitch from Gallardo. Good breaking ball to the outside corner. The second time through the order now. Gallardo going a little more with the curveball. The right-handed hitters. 0-2 pitch on the way. Longoria waiting. Gallardo goes into the wind. 2 balls, 2 strikes.
Gallardo trying to keep it away from Longoria. I know he doesn't want to let him get it extend on him, but he's trying to get him to go for something off the plate, not giving him anything good to hit.
Wouldn't bite on the breaking ball. So it's gone from 0-2 to 3-2. Longoria trying to work the count all the way back to get on base. If he does, David DeJesus would get a shot in this 4th inning. Now Gallardo with a payoff pitch. Got him swinging. Longoria couldn't tune it up, and Gallardo has his 3rd strikeout. He had 2 in the inning. We have finished 4 at Tropicana Field. 1-0 Rays.
Delino DeShields in this inning, and if you want to see Delino in the clubhouse, you pretty much just have to find Prince Fielder. Delino wisely following the veteran fielder. Prince says in large part it's because they have so much in common.
Yeah, that's my man. I mean, you know, we hang out a little bit. I mean, seeing how we both grew up the same way as far as, you know, our dads both played. So it's kind of, you know, it's kind of in us to kind of, you know, this life is, you know, kind of grew up with it. So it's just cool to connect with somebody who, you know, kind of grew up just the same way you did.
Delino making a smooth transition into the starting lineup. He's getting a lot more playing time, and part of the reason is because he's relying on the veteran presence of his buddy, Prince Fielder, guys.
All right, John, thank you. Yeah, that's a good point. This game is difficult enough, and you spend 8 months together basically every day with these guys, and to have something in common like that, it helps to form that kind of a bond.
It really does. That goes a long way, and you know, everybody on the team bonds, but then there are bonds that are even within that big bond of the team. And when you've got two guys like that, both their dads had long, great careers at the big league level, and like Prince said, they both grew up basically in major league clubhouses.
Right. Carlos Corcoran leading things off here in the top of the fifth inning. 1-0 Tampa Bay lead, and Corcoran picking strike two. That fills the count out. Carlos caught looking at a third strike in the second inning. Nathan Carnes with 6 strikeouts and 2 walks tonight in his 4 innings of work. Payoff pitch. Got him swinging. Strikeout number 7 for Carnes. Mac, you talked about a sneaky fastball and deception and involved in it. Carnes must have that because the radar gun readings certainly not going to pop your eyes out. They're average major league fastballs, 91, 92 sometimes. But guys are swinging like it's several miles an hour faster sometimes. You know,
you might be right. He may be sneaky from that batter's box, and they're just not picking him up until late. And this is everybody's first time seeing him. Now they're going through the lineup for the second time.
Right.
But this is the first time they've gotten to really face him and see him in person, and that makes a big difference. You know, I know they've heard about that hard curveball, so that some of them may be looking for that because, like you said, the fastball is not lighting up the radar gun. It doesn't have a whole lot of movement to it, so there are a couple of things that are going on there.
Well, it's interesting. The last time that Nate Carnes had a start was against Baltimore, and 5 days ago on the 3rd of May. And the Rays took him out after 5 innings of work, and he'd only thrown 66 pitches. 46 of those were strikes in that particular game. And Rosales is going to be a strikeout victim. Not recorded at first. That's 8 strikeouts. And the report was the reason the Rays had removed him from the game was that they didn't want him to pitch to the Oriole hitters for the 3rd time in that game. He was going to start 3rd time through the batting order. And to me, I said, wait a minute. The young man has done enough to get into the major leagues, and all of a sudden you're going to tell him he can't pitch to a guy 3 times in a ball game? That makes no sense.
You know, it didn't make sense to me either. I mean, how else is he going to learn? He's not going to go out there and throw 5 innings every time out.
Right.
You're going to bring him out because you don't want the other team to face him 3 times? That just didn't seem to make a whole lot of sense to me.
No, you know, that you do a lot of things, I think, to protect young pitchers, limiting the pitch totals or giving them extra days here and there and maybe skipping them in a turn of the rotation. Or a shot up the middle by Delino DeShields. Delino got a pitch out over the plate that he could handle, and he has the second Ranger hit of the night, a 2-out single. And we'll see if Delino gets that running game back in order because he had it in high gear last night.
Yes, he did. He got a pitch here from Carnes right down the middle of the plate and drilled it right back up the middle. Great piece of hitting. Didn't try to do too much with it. Took it right back up the middle. Now he's on first base. And for him, that's really scoring position.
Sure.
There's a ball in the gap for him here, especially with these big alleys. He's going to score from first base easily, but something tells me he's not going to hang around first too long.
Yeah, I think you're right. He's got that pretty good runner's lead at first right now. Shin-Soo Choo at the plate. There goes DeShields. The pitch is outside. The throw is not in time. It bounces off Cabrera, but right over to Beckham, the second baseman. So DeShields has to stay at second. But there is his 4th stolen base in the last 2 nights, and his 7th for the year. He is 7 for 7.
It's a great jump, and there's really no chance for Rivera to throw him out. Carnes did a pretty good job of getting to the plate. But hey, that's part of it. You put that pressure on that catcher. Sometimes they'll throw it into center field. They'll bounce it. They'll throw it offline. That's all a part of having pressure put on you by a guy that can steal bases.
Now the Rangers get their first opportunity with a runner in scoring position tonight. And Shin-Soo Choo up there with a count in his favor at 2 balls, no strikes. Choo has struck out and walked in his first 2 plate appearances. Carnes, a letter high set. 2-1. And there's another one, a fastball count. 91 on the radar gun, and Choo was a little late.
You can see some of the guys swinging through, and they're looking, they've got this look on their face. How did I miss that? That's not a comfortable feeling. If it's 97, 98, that's one thing, but 90, 91.
It's fouled back, and the count evens at 2 balls and 2 strikes. Now Choo, again, second on the Rangers with 12 runs driven in. Second to Prince Fielder's 14. He's had a team-high 7 runs driven in this month. And the Ranger offensive resurgence, Shin-Soo Choo has been right there in the middle of it. Carnes okays the sign, a check of DeShields. Low and in. Nice stop by Rivera. Had to backhand that. DeShields staying at second. The count is full to Choo.
Nice pick by Rivera. There's not a whole lot he could do. The ball was a little too far away from him for him to try to shift his body in front of it, which a catcher is supposed to do. But sometimes you just can't. And you got to try and catch it in the best way you can.
Well, with first base open, a left-hander at the plate, and Elvis Andrus waiting in the on-deck circle. We'll see what Carnes comes up with on the 3-2 pitch. Fastball up, he got him swinging, and Carnes ends up striking out the side. He has 9 punch-outs through 5 innings. Rangers strand a runner. We're halfway through the game. The Rays 1, the Rangers nothing. Fans 14 and over will receive a Texas Rangers camo cap courtesy of Fanatics. Join us at Globe Life Park. The Rangers take on the Cleveland Indians, and you pick up your Rangers camo cap. Get tickets at TexasRangers.com. Well, the man at the plate is the difference in the ball game. David DeJesus, a home run in the second inning. His second of the year, and that has been the only score thus far. That has been the only hit that Yovani Gallardo has given up tonight. DeJesus leading off here in the fifth inning. He'll be followed by Tim Beckham and Asdrubal Cabrera. Left center field, that's playable for Peguero. One out. And before Tim Beckham steps in, let's throw it back to Rick Renner for a Mazda game break. All right, Rick, thank you. That is exactly right. Hamilton and Mitch Moreland joining Round Rock. They will play in Nashville over the weekend. Mitch visiting with him today, said everything feels great. He'll join the Round Rock team tomorrow, and Josh Hamilton will be there on Sunday. Mitch eligible to come off the disabled list next Wednesday, and he said the plan is for him to play in a couple of games over the weekend, come back, take Monday off, or Tuesday off, I should say, and be ready to go on Wednesday when he's scheduled if he has no setbacks. And Josh Hamilton, the schedule is still a little up in the air, although Josh probably starting that rehab assignment maybe a few days before the original schedule had him there. So everything must be progressing better than expected.
Yeah, I think Josh is really going to push it and try and get back as quickly as he possibly can.
Mitch Moreland before the ball game hitting some BP against Jace Tingler, and boy, Mitch made as quick a recovery from having elbow surgery as you can possibly make.
Well, he's definitely chomping at the bit to get back.
Out of play. Yeah, he said conservatively 3 days after he had surgery, he was ready to go.
He did.
Yeah.
He did. He said he felt fine. He could bend it. He wanted to throw and he wanted to hit, but they held him back. Said, "Hey, give it another day or two." And you know, he was ready. He was ready to do it.
Well, that's good news. You get him back, and you know, if Josh can get himself into shape to help this ball club, they all of a sudden have an offense that might do some serious damage.
That offense definitely gets a lot deeper, a lot longer. Mitch get back and play some first base, and there are going to be some decisions that John Daniels and Jeff Bannister are going to have to make here on the personnel that they keep. You've got Blank swinging the bat well, Peguero swinging the bat well. Unfortunately, you can't keep everybody.
And Tim Beckham eyeballing a pitch just off the outside corner, draws a one-out walk. Well, that snapped the streak of 9 straight sent down by Gallardo. A 1-on, 1-out as Asdrubal Cabrera coming up. And Asdrubal signaling down to third base coach Charlie Montoyo. Say, will you go through those again? I didn't quite get them the first time. That walk, by the way, the first walk issued tonight by Gallardo. Go along with his 3 strikeouts. Cabrera, fly ball to right field, his first time up there. Oh and 1. Cabrera, longtime Cleveland Indian shortstop. Gallardo checking first. The pitch again on the outside corner.
Gallardo's doing a good job of getting to home plate, getting the ball to Corcoran pretty quickly, just in case Beckham wants to try and steal. He's only got 1 stolen base on the year. But Gallardo's doing his part, getting the ball to home plate quickly. And
fly ball to right, 2. Couple of steps to his left That is out number 2. Back to first goes Beckham. And Jake Elmore will now come up.
Third baseman, Jake Elmore.
Look at that last pitch that Asdrubal Cabrera not very happy with himself.
Not at all. He got 2 fastballs on the outside part of the plate for strikes, and then Gallardo throws in that little cutter and pretty much shattered the bat.
Yeah.
It didn't shatter, but it sounded like he broke it.
Got it in there where the printing on the bat is the whitest. Jake Elmore called out on strikes. Beckham having to dive back of that throw by Gallardo. Elmore a 273 average as he faces Gallardo. And the pitch off the outside corner for ball 1. Elmore called up from AAA Durham back on the 22nd of April. That's a bit low, and it's now 2-0. Gallardo, well, the pitch total right at 70 with 2 outs in the 5th inning. 42 strikes, 28 balls so far this evening. There goes the runner. The throw to second base is high, and in with a swipe second base is Tim Beckham. Yeah, it's kind of a tough pitch for Corcoran to have to reach up and try and grab and transfer and make the throw.
You know, as a catcher, you want to get a ball in that little zone, but when it's down there like that, down or you've got to reach, it throws your body out of rhythm. It just makes it that much more difficult to try and throw a runner out.
Well, Beckham now in scoring position. The count is 3 balls and no strikes to Elmore. Now 3-1. Lowest average this year with runners in scoring position, Tampa Bay at 210, just ahead of Boston, who's at 209. Rangers have moved out of that cellar and the runners in scoring position. They're now 5th lowest in the league. Second walk of the inning and the game, and the Rays have 2 aboard with 2 outs for Rene Rivera. Well, Corcoran going to go out and slow things down a little bit for Giovanni Gallardo. Elvis Andrus will come on in and get a look at the inning by inning breakdown. Pitch wise is 17 right now, the second most that Gallardo has thrown tonight in an inning. Overall, pretty good though. Again, the standard that you try and get to is 5 pitches per out or 15 pitches per inning. So 75 through 5 innings would be the acceptable level. Something less than that is preferable. A lot less than that is preferable, but that's certainly acceptable.
How about 2? Is that good?
2 would be tough. Yeah, you find a way to get 3 outs on 2 pitches. I think you'd be called into the commissioner's office and say, how are you doing that?
Sort of like the 5-run homer.
Yeah. Oh, and 1 the count to Rivera, who grounded out to third. His first trip to the plate. And he skies 1 to center field. Lino DeShields there to make the grab. That'll do it. So the 2 walks do not haunt Giovanni Gallardo or the Rangers. The Rays strand a pair. We're going to the 6th. It's the Rays 1, the Rangers nothing. Sonic. Tonight's jackpot is worth $600 and dinner for two at Sonic Drive-In. Tonight, the Rangers are hitting for Maryland High from Godley. And if a Ranger hits a grand slam this inning, Maryland High from Godley will win $25,000. You can register at any participating Sonic restaurant. Good luck, Maryland. The Rangers could use a couple of slams here. Elvis Andrews, Prince Fielder, and Adrian Beltre, the first three to go up there swinging for the slam. Elvis 0 for 2, a ground out, and a fly ball to center field. And Nate Carnes opens the sixth inning by dropping that big curveball in for strike one. Carnes tonight with 9 strikeouts through the first 5 innings. He has allowed the Rangers just a couple of hits. And he's going to get Elvis on a ground ball to short. 1 out. Now it'll be Prince Fielder. Well, Carnes, as really is the case for a lot of guys that are fastball, curveball kinds of pitchers, the home run had plagued him. Find that guys that have that curveball as their main breaking ball tend to give up more home runs than guys that are sinker slider types or that really rely on keeping the ball low in the strike zone. Not that big 12-6 biting curveball. Carnes, his minor league career, had surrendered quite a few home runs, and he gives up a long fly to left center, but that's going to stay in the park. Kiermaier able to make the grab, and Prince Fielder gave it a pretty good ride, but not enough here tonight. Let's take a look at our Kubota power stats, talking about Nate Carnes tonight. 9 strikeouts, a new career high for the 27-year-old. He has been very impressive here this evening. 57 and a third innings coming into play here tonight. He had allowed 13 home runs. That's a little more than 2 home runs per 9 innings. Beltre 0 for 2. He shoots that one into the second deck on the right side. 1 ball and 1 strike. Adrian is flied to right and tapped back to the mound. Rangers had a Prince Fielder hit, a single in the first inning. And Beltre a ground out to his Drupal Cabrera, and it's a very quick 1-2-3 inning. Couple of ground outs and a fly ball for Nate Carnes and the Rays. After 5.5 it remains, the Rays won, the Rangers nothing on Fox Sports Southwest. game series with the Cleveland Indians. It's also the first kids giveaway of the season. The first 7,500 kids 13 and under will receive a U t-shirt. And that's courtesy of Scott's Miracle Grow. Visit TexasRangers.com for tickets today. Giovanni Gallardo going back to work, and he's dealing to the top of the order here in the 6th inning. Kevin Kiermaier is 0 for 2. A fly ball to left and a ground ball to second. 2-0 pitch. Giovanni tailing that one down and away from Kiermaier. 2-1. Rays 1 run on 1 hit tonight. That the 2nd inning home run from David DeJesus. Rangers, meanwhile, have been shut out on just 2 base hits by Nate Carnes through 6 innings.
That's saying something for Carnes, being able to stifle this offense the way they've been swinging the bats over the last 4 days.
Giovanni to the line for the 2-2. We'll try it again. Kevin Kiermaier, 1 out of 4 last night's game. Had a late game home run against Sean Tollison. And he fights it off foul again. That home run last night, by the way, for Kiermaier snapped a homerless drought for him that had been 74 at bats. Another 2-2 from Gallardo. Another foul ball.
You know, Gallardo's showing just how crafty he is. Last inning, he walked a couple of batters, but was still able to pitch out of it without any real damage being caused. Didn't give up a run or anything. But making pitches when he needed to make them.
Poke to short. Elvis drops it, picks it up. It's going to be too late. Kiermaier runs well, and you don't have the luxury of being able to even bobble it momentarily. Well, Kiermaier aboard to start off the 6th inning. And that is going to be an error charged to Elvis Andrus.
Elvis going to that backhand. The ball just kicked up a little bit on him. And any kind of bobble with Kiermaier's speed, he's going to beat that out, especially Elvis had to go to his right a little bit. Ball looked like it went into his glove and just scooted right out.
That is the 8th error committed by Elvis Andrus this year, and the Rangers now have committed 25 for the season. They were on a pretty good roll on this road trip, playing error-free baseball. They had gotten up out of the cellar and fielding in the American League prior to tonight. Well, 1 on, nobody out. A chopper to third, near the bag. To second, they get 1. The return throw not nearly in time, but just getting Kiermaier off the bases helps the Ranger cause.
It really does. That's a great play by Beltre, realizing that Kiermaier is the faster one of the two, and you don't want to let a run get into scoring position. So that's a tough play that he went to his right to get. Souza hit it over there right at the bag. Beltre makes the play, gets it over to Rosales, who's got a really strong arm, but still not enough time to get Souza running down that line.
Well, Souza takes the place of Kiermaier at first. 1 out now, James Loney will step in. Loney 0 for 2. Is grounded back to the mound and hit a pop foul to Carlos Corporan his last time up. Strike at the knees. It is 0-1. Loney now 0 for 8 in the current streak. And Souza will draw a throw at first base. Veteran left-handed hitter James Loney up there. Base hit through the hole on the left side. Sousa stops at second as Peguero gets the ball back in. And the Rays now have something going here in the sixth with 2 on and just 1 out for Evan Longoria.
Rangers have a couple guys up in the bullpen, Anthony Bass and Alex Claudio getting warmed up as Mike Maddox goes out to talk to Gallardo.
And I don't think Mike is talking to a real happy Giovanni Gallardo, judging from his body language. He's a little bit upset with the result of that last pitch.
You know, I do like the fact that he's getting ground balls. There's a couple of them gone through for hits, but he's getting that ground ball. So one pitch here could get him out of this inning.
Bass, of course, the right-hander. Claudio heating it up from the left side. Now, conference concluded. Evan Longoria, a fly ball to right and a strikeout. 0 for 2 tonight. Always a difficult guy to deal with runners in scoring position. And Sousa out there at second base. And James Loney trailing at first. One ball, no strikes. Longoria, a modest 3-game hitting streak coming into play tonight. Again, he missed last night's ball game. He had the flu. That snapped his consecutive game streak at 270. Two balls, no strikes.
Carroll trying to be very careful with Longoria, and he has to be. This is the one guy you don't want to let beat you in this lineup. Not that the other guys, not taking anything away from them, but Longoria is a proven long ball hitter and run producer.
Yep. And the eyeballs ball 3. It just missed the outside corner. And our Fox tracker showing you that could have been, maybe. Won't get that pitch called very often down there, though, especially with a guy like Longoria at the plate. 3-0 pitch. And that is right down the middle. Longoria, best run producer for the Rays over the last several years. I mean, he has been the guy they relied on, the guy that comes through with the clutch hits. So Giovanni Gallardo has his hands full here. The 3-1. Runs the count full with runners at first and second.
Carroll trying to go away with it. Ball runs back over the middle part or the inside part of the plate. Longoria can't get to it. Hits it over the top. Fouls it off.
Gallardo trying to pull out a double play ground ball out of this one. Runners on the move. The pitch is lined to right field. A base hit. Around third coming in to score is Sousa. The throw goes into second base. And Evan Longoria going the other way for the RBI single makes it a 2-0 Rays lead.
Number 7, David Jesus.
Longoria drives in his 9th run of the year. And Giovanni Gallardo, well, just plain disgusted with the occurrences here in the 6th inning. Jeff Bannister out to take the ball. He has made the call to the bullpen. Alex Claudio coming on. He will inherit runners at the corners and 1 out with the Rays leading 2-0. We're back after this timeout on Fox Sports Southwest. to show your Aggie pride at a Rangers game. Get discounted tickets for the May 28th game against the Red Sox, and the first 1,000 fans with an A&M ticket to the park will receive a free Rangers cap in Aggie maroon and white colors. Go to TexasRangers.com/TAMU for details. Alex Claudio and Brandon Guyer greets him with a long fly ball to left. That ball is gone. Guyer pitch hitting, and the first pitch he gets from Claudio leaves the ballpark. It is 5-0 Tampa Bay.
Guyer got a hold of that pitch out over the middle of the plate from Claudio. Trying to go down and away. The ball ended up right down the middle of the plate. As a pinch hitter, when you come in to pinch hit, you want to come in and you want to be aggressive. And he got that first pitch that he liked. With a 3-run bomb with it.
So Guyer leaving the ballpark with that pitch, and Alex Claudio leaving the mound a little bit dejected as Jeff Bannister making another call to the bullpen. So the Rays have put 4 on the board here in the 6th, lead 5-0. And we'll take another timeout. Be right back after this on Fox Sports Southwest. Well, Brendan Guyer with the first pinch hit career home run for him. And the Rays, their 3rd pinch hit home run this year. Well, they have opened up a 5-0 lead. Anthony Bass has come out of the bullpen now to take over. And he's facing Tim Beckham with the bases empty and still just 1 out. Saw the numbers for Anthony Bass. Last time we saw Anthony on the hill was last weekend against Oakland at home. Anthony worked an inning and 2/3 on that Saturday game. Pitch just off the inside corner. And the count is 2 balls and a strike. Beckham 0 for 1 tonight, a ground ball and a walk. The Rays 4 runs in the inning, and it all started with the error to Elvis Andrus. That shouldn't have unlocked the floodgates, but it did. And that is out number 2.
You know, a lot of times when something like that happens, that's exactly what it does. It opens up the floodgates. And, you know, Gallardo made some good pitches, but he also gave up a couple of hits after that. You know, as a pitcher, you've got to be able to shake that off, and and I don't think that was anything that bothered Gallardo, but you want to be able to make a pitch. And they had the 3-2 hit and run. Longoria poked it the other way, drove in a run, and from there it was just downhill.
Yeah, there's A lot to be said for the way the Rangers have been playing. The 4-game winning streak, picking each other up, as we talked about. That's when a pitcher has to pick up his defense a little bit. It's going to happen, and you just have to find a way to get the job done. That's right center field. That ball is well tagged, and one hop off the wall, off the bat of Asdrubal Cabrera. It's going to be a double as he pulls into second base with his first hit of the night. So Cabrera in a long offer, and that offer is a thing of the past now. His 4th double of the year. And for Cabrera, that snaps an 0 for 13.
Bass puts this one right down the middle, and Cabrera turns on it. Lionel DeShields was playing over shading towards left center field, so we had a long way to go to get it. Not going to have a play on it. It's going to be a double anyway.
So Cabrera at second, and here's Jake Elmore. And Anthony Bass fires that breaking ball to the outside corner for strike one. Elmore a strikeout and a walk tonight. Rays now 5 runs on 5 hits. 2 of those 5 have been home runs. And David DeJesus had a solo blast in the second. And the big shot here in the third, Brandon Guyer's 3-run pinch hit home run for David DeJesus. Maybe it's that 5th spot in the order that's doing the trick for the Rays tonight.
It's definitely doing the trick.
Still 0-2. Anthony, a 27-year-old out of the Detroit area. Wayne State University is where he went to play his collegiate years. Grew up in Trenton, Michigan. Again, the 0-2 pitch. Got him swinging. Good tailing fastball down and in. The side retired, but the Rays strike for 4 runs. On 4 hits, they leave 1. We're going to the 7th. It's now 5-0 Rays. In a couple of words, Nathan Carnes, a career-high 9 strikeouts for the big right-hander from Arlington. He has been just overpowering against the Rangers here tonight, and he has certainly been supported. 1 swing of the bat from Brandon Guyer against Alex Claudio, the only pitch Alex Claudio threw tonight. And Guyer pinch hitting, the only pitch he had seen, it turned into a 3-run pinch hit home run. So 5-0 Rays now as Carnes back out to start the 7th inning, and dealing to Kyle Blanks, throws strike 1. Brandon Guyer staying in the ball game to play in left field. Curveball settles a little bit low. Blanks now with a count of 1 ball and 1 strike. Kyle, a strikeout, a fly ball to right. Couldn't quite climb the ladder on that one. It's 1-2. Two and two now. Pitch total for Nate Carnes approaching 100 pitches, 97 at the moment. We will try the 2-2 pitch again.
Rangers are trying to get something going against Carnes. It's been tough for him all night. He's only given up a couple of hits. So they really haven't mounted any kind of threat to Carnes so far. This is their third, going on 4th time for some of the guys through the lineup. The 3rd time through the lineup. So hopefully they'll be able to get to him pretty quick.
And another foul ball. Nate Carnes has gone 7 complete innings 1 time this year. That was back on the 12th of April against the Miami Marlins. Went 7 innings, allowed just 2 hits in that win. Pitch totals is 2nd, 3rd, and 4th starts this year were all over 100 pitches. 106, 108 in that range, and he is right at 100 here tonight. A 2-2 pitch. Now Blanks being a little bit of a pest up there. Flaring away, good pitch after good pitch. Our Skag pitch tracker showing the first 8 pitches, and we're going to pop up number 9 here very shortly. High and tight, the count goes full. Well, Blanks with a good at bat, trying to get aboard to start the Rangers 7th. Carlos Peguero will wait in the on deck circle. Fly ball got in on him just enough. Geyer, 1 out.
A good at bat by Blanks. 10 pitches. Ended up flying out the left. Ball didn't look like it was too far from that catwalk up there. Could have been interesting.
We try to keep the catwalk talk down because we'd have to explain the various rules, and we're not going to go into that. I tried that one time.
Yeah, you would have to
several
do that.
times. Yeah.
Best thing is don't hit it.
Yeah, don't hit it because I don't want to try to tell you what happens. It's not pretty if I want to go into that description. They're nice looking catwalks though. Carlos Peguero 0 for 1 tonight with a walk and a strikeout. Up the middle, the station behind the bag is Cabrera, and he throws out Peguero, 2 gone.
Well, Cabrera is one of the best sure-handed shortstops in the game. He's the only shortstop in the AL that doesn't have an error this year. I think that one ball that Prince hit up the middle kind of shocked him a little bit.
Yeah.
But other than that, if you hit it his way, he's pretty much going to catch it and throw you out.
2 away now for Carlos Corporan. Corporan has struck out both times that he faced Nate Carnes here tonight. Once looking and once swinging. 0-1. Carnes back to him. Little slow roller down to first at the bag, Loney, and that's going to do it. A quick and easy 1-2-3, 7th inning. That is 7 straight sent down by Nate Carnes and the Rays. Stretch time in Tampa Bay with the Rays leading 5-0. Folks, MLB.TV Premium, the #1 live streaming sports service, is celebrating 13 years. Watch every out-of-market game live or on demand in true HD. Real-time highlights, live look-ins, pitch tracking widget, and more every night on every device. Visit MLB.TV for details. Now we head to the bottom half of the 7th inning with the Rays leading 5-0. Stormy Pimentel will come out of the Ranger bullpen to take over. Dave Carnes, the beneficiary of 5 Rays runs here tonight, and he is twirling a shutout through 7. Pimentel dealing to Rene Rivera. He misses outside for ball 1. Stormy Pimentel, the 25-year-old out of San Cristobal in the Dominican Republic. I think Rivera was looking fastball and he didn't get it.
That's exactly what that swing was. A fastball swing on a slider.
Rivera ground out in a fly ball to center field tonight. Pimentel, the 4th pitcher used by the Rangers tonight. Ahead in the count now, 1-2. Giovanni Gallardo worked the first 5 1/3. 3 hits, 4 runs, 3 of them earned. 2 walks, 3 strikeouts. Alex Claudio came on and surrendered the pinch hit 3-run home run to Brandon Guyer, the only hitter that he faced. And Rivera gone on strikes. Good breaking ball from Pimentel. 1 gone. Now before we go back to Kevin Kiermaier, let's send it to Rick Renner for a Mazda game break. All right, Rick. Here it's the Rays 5, the Rangers nothing. Kevin Kiermaier, whose ground ball started the 4-run 6th inning. A ground ball to short that Elvis Andrews, playing pretty deep, knew he had to hurry to get Kiermaier. Bobbled it momentarily and dropped it. By the time he picked it up and threw, it was too late.
Yeah, that's a tough play, especially with Kiermaier's speed. You just can't afford to bobble the ball no matter where you are in the infield. And he's from the left side as well, so he really gets down that line. So any bobbled ball, he's probably going to beat it out. Again, there's that speed, that pressure you put on the defense with speed. We talked about earlier with Delino DeShields. Well, there are other teams that have guys that can run as well.
High foul pop-up. Adrian Beltre looking up into the dome, stays with it, and he's still looking up there after he made the catch. 2 gone.
Nice veteran play. You see, he didn't rush over there. He knew that ball was going to come back to him with the left-hander being up there, so he didn't run over to the wall. He stayed away a little bit, stayed back, and knew that ball was just going to come right to him. No panic. You do not want to take your eyes off the baseball in this stadium.
Looked like Adrian even knew he was on the warning track when he tiptoed over there. Must have those color sensing shoes.
That's what it is. Yeah. He had a little beep, beep, beep going.
Now 2 outs. Here's Steven Sousa. In a big wave and a miss at the breaking ball. Sousa tonight 0 for 3. He got a board on a fielder's choice and scored in the 6th inning. And down in the count here, 0-2. Pimentel's got a pretty good breaking ball going.
He does. He's getting the ball, getting the sign, and throwing.
Right-hander to the wind. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Last time Pimentel was on the hill was Sunday. Worked the 3rd inning against the Oakland A's. Got him swinging. Nice inning for Stormy Pimentel. A couple of strikeouts and a pop-up. We're going to the 8th inning. It's the Rays 5, the Rangers 0 on Fox Sports Southwest. Rosendahl tonight at Colorado. 2 3-run home run and 8 RBI yesterday at Milwaukee. Also Sonny Gray getting the start tonight at Seattle. He's 4-0 with an 0.97 ERA. Go to DraftKings.com and enter the promo code D-Town. Adam Rosales leading off in the top of the 8th inning against Nate Carnes, who is trying to establish a new high in a Tampa Bay uniform for himself. If he gets one out, it will be the longest game that he has pitched at the major league level for Tampa Bay. Adam Rosales 0 for 2 tonight, a fly ball and a strikeout. Rangers with just 2 hits, a first inning single by Prince Fielder and a 5th inning single by Delino DeShields. Cedeno down in the bullpen, the left-hander Xavier Cedeno loosening in support of Nate Carnes. 1-2 to Rosales. And we'll try that again.
.111 pitches so far for Carnes.
Now his most had been 108 earlier on the 22nd of April. That's in the dirt. And the count evens at 2-2. Now the way it's setting up in this inning, looks like Carnes would probably be asked to face Rosales and DeShields, and with the left-hander ready in case Shin-Soo Choo would come to bat with people on. There's Delino waiting in the on-deck circle. To left field, that's hit pretty well. Going back is Geyer. He is at the wall. Goodbye. Adam Rosales with the home run to left, his 2nd of the year. And there goes the shutout for Carnes. And the Rangers have cut into the Tampa Bay lead. It is 5-1.
A nice at bat for Adam Rosales. Battled and got a pitch up in the zone. Carnes trying to go away with it and got it top of the strike zone, right there in his eyes. Drove it out of here for a home run.
Fastest elapsed time around the bases in a home run. Major League history. Adam Rosales.
I've never seen anybody go around the bases like
either.
that, ever.
Low and outside to DeShields, and Delino now with a count of 1 ball and 2 strikes. DeShields tonight a single and a strikeout, 1 for 2. Hitting 179 as he faces Carnes here in the 8th inning. And he's going to be 2 for 3. Shoots one right back up the middle. The home run single, that's how the 8th inning begins. And Kevin Cash coming out, and he wants the left-hander to come on in. So Nate Carnes will tie his high water mark with 7 complete innings. Couple of hitters here in the 8th. He leaves to a very nice round of applause at Tropicana. He leaves leading 5-1. Xavier Cedeno coming on. We'll take a timeout. Be right back to Tropicana Field after this on Fox Sports Southwest. Friday night in Major League Baseball, plus the NBA playoffs resume. And you get second-round results from the Players' Championship. Stay here for a simulcast of Fox Sports Live tonight at midnight here on Fox Sports Southwest. 28-year-old left-hander Xavier Cedeno is on, and he is facing Shin-Soo Choo with Delino DeShields at first and nobody out. Cedeno appearing in his sixth ball game for the Rays. He has not been scored upon. The opposition hitting just 182 against the southpaw. Drops in that breaking ball. Cedeno spending the last couple of years with the Washington Nationals. And Choo rips one to center. That's a base hit. DeShields stops at second. And the Rangers now with 3 consecutive hits to open up the 8th inning. Have runners at first and second for Elvis Andrus.
Choo got a pitch out over the middle of the plate. The Rangers have done a good job. Three of their hits have been right back up the middle. Breaking ball breaks out over the middle of the plate. Choo drills it right back up the middle. Actually, 4 of their 5 hits have been right back up the middle.
So Choo aboard to join DeShields. Elvis Andrus 0 for 3 tonight. He pushes a bunt, and it is a good one. It's going to be a base hit.
Perfect.
Now that's something they've been working on before ball games, before batting practice even starts. Several Rangers coming out working on that push bunt, and Elvis executed that to perfection.
You can't roll that ball out there any better than that. You've got the left-hander on the hill, runners at first and second, the first baseman's in, and all the first baseman has to do is leave the bag, and that's going to be a base hit. And Loney's a good first baseman. He's the only one who has a play. You've got the left-hander pitching. He's falling towards third base, so that gives Elvis a little bit more of a gap to put that ball into, and he got it there perfectly. So no play, bases loaded. The Rangers are in business.
Now Jim Hickey, the pitching coach, going out there to talk things over and give the bullpen time to heat up. Got Prince Fielder, the left-hander, coming up, and Kevin Jepson, the right-hander, he is getting loose in the bullpen because after Prince Fielder, you have Beltre and Blanks, both right-handed hitters. But right now, here's Prince Fielder, who represents the tying run in this ball game. He has the bases full, nobody out. Hard to believe he only has 1 career grand slam.
That is hard to believe.
Right on the doorstep, though, of 2 right here.
No better time to get the second one than now.
That breaking ball settles a little bit low for ball 1. DeShields, Choo, and Andrus, third, second, and first. Fielder, 4th best average in these situations. Runners in scoring position, 462 this year. Cedeno, a belt high set. And Prince couldn't stop it in time. 1 ball and 1 strike.
Prince looking for something else and went after that breaking ball. Couldn't hold up.
Fielder tonight, 1 for 3, and a first inning single. And the appeal down to third, no swing. No swing, according to third base umpire Dana DeMuth.
It's always a tough call. We have a much better angle from the cameras than a lot of the umpires do.
That's right. 2-1 now. Pitch on the way. Pop foul. And that will be over the top of the Ranger dugout, back into the third row. I think Prince would like to have that pitch back again. It looked like a breaking ball that stayed up a bit for him. 2 balls and 2 strikes. get a look at it again.
It's staying up there for him, that's for sure.
Skag pitch tracker showing you that ball never got down and away, but Prince fouled it away. Cedeno okays the sign. The left-hander is ready. Fastball got him on the fist. And Prince able to fight it off. 11,700 fans on hand here tonight. That's about 3,000 more than last night. It's still a fairly intimate crowd. They are making some noise. Rangers are the ones making the noise with a lumber. Another 2-2. Got him swinging. Fielder couldn't go down low enough to get that breaking ball, and that is a huge out number 1, and that's going to be the last hitter that Xavier Cedeno faces. He comes on to give up a couple of base hits. Gets the big strikeout of Prince Fielder on a tough breaking ball. And Kevin Jepsen, the right-hander, is going to be summoned from the Rays bullpen. So another pitching change underway at Tropicana. We'll take a timeout. We're back after this on Fox Sports Southwest. Universe Rewind 2011 Game 4, the ALDS playoffs, and Adrian Beltre, not 1, not 2, but 3 home runs right here at the Trop. Went into the record books for postseason home runs in a game. Adrian Beltre getting the head touch treatment down in that Ranger bullpen, Ranger dugout, and he still does to this day after a round tripper. Well, he's facing Kevin Jepsen with the bases loaded and 1 out. And the first pitch fouled away for strike 1. Jepsen acquired by the Rays in the offseason. Went over. Matt Joyce was traded to the Angels, and Kevin Jepsen came over here to Tampa Bay. Jepsen up and down since 2008 with the Angels. Appearing in his 13th game now for Tampa Bay this year. Jepsen has 74 appearances for Los Angeles last year. And Beltre drives it deep to right center field. It's going to stay in the park as Kiermaier right back up against the wall makes the catch. In to score is Delino DeShields, and just barely beating the throw into second base, Elvis Andrus. Beltre got a 390-foot sacrifice fly, and that makes it a 5-2 game. But as importantly, it's the second out here in the 8th inning.
Beltre is trying to do one thing, really. He's trying to get that ball in the air and out of the ballpark, but at least in the air, drives it to probably as deep as he can go without him getting out of the ballpark. He gets a sac fly, and you see Elvis alertly tagging up, knowing that the ball's either going to be out or caught. tagging up and getting himself into scoring position.
No, 2 outs now. Here is Kyle Blanks. And he takes the pitch outside for ball 1. Blanks tonight 0 for 3. A strikeout and a couple of fly balls. Jepson, a very lively fastball and a great curveball. Hard throwing right-hander comes back to the plate. Evens the count at 1-1. Blanks 0 for 1 in the previous matchups with Kevin Jepson. Runners in scoring position in the 8 ball games for Kyle Blanks. He's gone 6 for 11. He's got Shin-Soo Choo at third, Elvis Andrus at second. Rangers trailing by 3. The 1-1 pitch. Blanks staring out at Kevin Jepson, trying to access the memory banks as to what Jepson did with him. The only at bat he has seen against him. Right-hander with a belt high set. That's his power against power right there.
Blanks wants that one back. Pretty good pitch to hit out over the plate.
2 balls, 2 strikes.
Jepson coming in there at 95. He's going to challenge you. You know you're going to get a fastball. You just got to be able to catch up to it. Blanks has fouled 2 of them off.
Kyle wagging that bat back and forth. Jepson okays the sign. The 2-2. Breaking ball, and Blanks checking his swing. The pitch just a bit low, and the count now is full. Well, that's a curveball that'll lock up a lot of hitters after seeing that hard fastball. Well, Blanks ready. The payoff pitch from Jepson. And the breaking ball is chopped foul. We will reset and try it again.
It's a good pitch to hang in there on it. You're thinking in this situation, 3-2. Jepson throws 95. You're probably going to see that 95. But he went with the breaking ball.
Yeah, something you wouldn't have thought, because with first base open, but you have a left-handed hitter in Carlos Peguero to follow. Another 3-2 pitch is coming. High ball 4. Blanks draws a big 2-out walk, and it reloads the bases with 2 outs for Peguero.
Very nice at bat by Blanks. You know, you're looking again, 3-2, probably going to be a fastball. Jepson tries a breaking ball again and just misses off the outside corner.
Now Blanks removed from the ballgame for a pinch runner. Rougned Odor has come off the Ranger bench and will pinch run. He represents the tying run in this game at first base. So Blanks out, Odor on. Odor joins Andrus and Choo, and here's Peguero, 0 for 2. Ball 1.
This is a pretty good matchup. I'd love to see Peguero get a hold of this 95-mile-an-hour fastball that he's going to get and see just how far he could hit one.
Poke a hole in the roof. 1-0 pitch. Out of play to the left. Carlos tonight drew a walk in the second, struck out in the fourth, grounded to short in the seventh. He's got the bases full of Ranger teammates. Rangers trailing 5-2 with 2 outs here in the 8th inning. Jepson ready. Fastball called strike 2. And at 96. on the radar gun here.
Jepson doing 96 on that outside part of the plate. Not a whole lot you can do with that one. Looks a little off the plate there.
Jepson a check of the runners. Got him swinging. Foul tip is what Paul Narton is saying. Rivera got the ball out of the dirt, stepped on home plate. He thought that was the end of the inning, but now Kevin Cash is going to come out and ask Nart. Yeah, you can see on that replay.
Yeah, that's a foul ball.
Tipping it straight down. And Kevin Cash looking into the dugout. See what is going to be relayed to him as far as the video observation upstairs. And he said, okay, that's foul tip. Just kidding. Let's go back and play baseball. So Carlos Peguero staying alive just by the very slimmest of margins. Still 1 ball and 2 strikes. Jepson to the plate. Fouled out of play.
Nice job of fouling off a tough pitch. Pitch probably too close to take in this situation. Bases loaded. 1 and 2. You don't want to take that and leave it in the umpire's hand. So very good poke at it and be able to foul it off. That's a lost art. I remember guys used to be able to do that a lot more. Yeah. Something they couldn't really handle or didn't really want. Just poke it somewhere, foul it off, and get another pitch.
Again, the 1-2 pitch. Got him swinging. Carlos lost the bat and lost the at-bat to Kevin Jepson. The Rangers score a couple, but leave the bases full. We'll go to the bottom of the 8th. It's now the Rays 5 and the Rangers 2 on Fox Sports Southwest. Rays play again tomorrow night and then Sunday afternoon here to finish out the series. Then it's home for Texas to take on the Kansas City Royals for 4 games Monday through Thursday. Cleveland Indians come in to finish off that homestand Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Then back out on the road to Boston, New York, and Cleveland. You got to make sure you get your money's worth out of that young man. He's draining that thing pretty well here at the ballpark. Stormy Pimentel back out to start the bottom of the 8th inning, facing James Loney. Well, the Rangers put together a pretty nice rally that just came up 1 big hit short. Scored a couple of times and left the bases full. Defensively, the Rangers had to make a couple of adjustments. Adam Rosales moves from second over to first. And Rougned Odor, who pinch ran, stays in the ball game to take over at second. Loney shoots it out of play down the left side. The count is 2-1. Loney tonight 1 for 3. That average at 232 currently. He had a single in that big 4-run 6th inning for the Rays. The line's one. He's going to have another hit into right center field. Well, Loney got jammed a little bit, but the way he's had things going for him, he'll take whatever he can get. A lead-off base hit. It brings up Evan Longoria.
Not a bad pitch by Pimentel. He gets inside on him, jams him, but Loney's strong enough to get it out over Odor's head for a base hit.
No, the hits are now even at half a dozen for each team. Rays leading 5-2. Longoria in a big RBI single in the 6th inning. 1 ball, no strikes. The Longoria now with 9 runs driven in this season, hitting at 286. And Pimentel fires strike 1. A check of first. The pitch outside. Snap throw down to first, but on the foul side of the bag. And nice play by Adam Rosales to haul it in. Carlos Corcoran thinking he might just catch James Loney napping a bit down there. Two balls, 1 strike. The count to Longoria. Pimentel came on to work a 1-2-3 7th inning with a couple of strikeouts. Gave up the leadoff single to Loney here in the 8th inning. And Longoria bounces one outside of third to even the count at 2-2.
Ground ball somewhere could result in a double play. You see Adrian Beltre playing, just shading the line just a little bit.
That's going to loop into shallow left center field for a base hit. Loney will pull in at second. Well, a couple of soft singles from Loney and now Longoria. 2 aboard, nobody out. And Brandon Guyer coming up with Mike Maddox on his way to the mound.
Pimentel making some good pitches, but you've got to give the Rays hitters some credit. They're fighting them off and dumping them out to the outfield. It's probably a little bit too high in the zone. Longoria dumps it in the left field for a single, his second hit of the ball game.
Like Longoria went out there and jammed himself on that.
Yeah, might have.
You know, Mike Maddox out there to talk to Pimentel and to Carlos Corcoran. Get the plan all squared around what they want to do with Brandon Guyer. Guyer was the one that came off the bench as a pinch hitter for David DeJesus in the 6th inning. He had 2 runners on, and the first pitch he saw from Alex Claudio, he smacked out of the ballpark to left center field. His 2nd home run of the year, his first ever pinch hit home run as a major leaguer. Up there again now with 2 runners aboard. This time nobody out. And a butt is fouled back to the screen. We'll go back to that 6th inning. Alex Claudio into the game. First pitch. Over that 370 marker for Brandon Guyer. That opened up a 5-0 lead at that point. Rangers have come back to make it a 5-2 game. But here in the 8th, Rays are threatening for more. 0-2.
The Rangers weren't able to come across with that big 2-out hit the last inning like they've been doing a lot of over this 4-game winning streak. One of the few times we've seen that.
And that is just off the plate inside. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Yeah, that's really been a hallmark of this road trip, getting timely hits. And tonight, with runners in scoring position for the Tampa Bay Rays, you saw the numbers. 215 team average. Pimentel with still a 1-2 count on Geyer. Now the right-hander ready once again. A check of the runners. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Geyer in his last 7 ball games, a pretty hot hitter, nearly 320. Had a couple of, or had both of his home runs in the last 7 games. Beltre cuts it off, has no play at second. The throw to first, not in time. Adrian thinking about trying to get the ball to Odor at second base. And by the time he realized he had no play, Geyer able to beat it out at first. And that's going to be an infield single to load the bases with nobody out.
It's a tough play by Beltre going to his left. He's back deep. And in this instance, you've got runners at first and second. There's nobody holding that runner on at first base. So he's got an extra big lead. He's got about another 3 or 4 steps on his lead. So that's why Adrian wasn't able to get him at second base. And then he decided to go to first base and just not able to get Geyer in time. Geyer gets down that line pretty good.
Well, the Rangers really in hot water now here in the 8th inning. Bases loaded, nobody out. Tim Beckham at the plate, and the Rangers are forced to pull the infield all the way in. They're down by 3, can't afford to give up anymore. And Beckham takes off the plate for ball 1. Beckham tonight is 0 for 2. He had a walk in the 5th inning. That was sandwiched in between a couple of groundouts. Got Loney at third, Longoria at second, Geyer at first. Pimentel to the plate. To center field. That's going to be deep enough for Loney to score. Delino DeShields makes the catch. Loney tags at third, comes down the line and crosses home plate. The sacrifice fly by Tim Beckham extends the Rays lead. It's now 6-2.
The shortstop.
Well, Beckham with his 12th run driven in this year. The Rays get one of the 2 runs back that the Rangers scored in the top of the 8th inning. Well, now runners at first and second with 1 out. And Asdrubal Cabrera will step to the plate. Last time up, Cabrera doubled off the wall in deepest center field. That was off Anthony Bass. Couldn't quite get that swing going in time to catch up with Pimentel's fastball.
Threw that one in there at 94. Heated up a little bit.
One ball and 1 strike. Cabrera with that double snapped an 0 for 13 streak. Pimentel back to him. 2-1 now. Rangers with more action going in their bullpen down the left field line. Just in case Pimentel can't extricate himself from the problems here in the 8th. That's Spencer Patton loosening and loosening rather quickly. Three balls and 1 strike. Pimentel peering in for a sign. Now he sets for the 3-1 pitch. Towering pop-up. That almost got a catwalk. Corcoran has it. That is out number 2.
Nice job by Pimentel. Behind in the count. Don't want to fall too far behind or even walk Cabrera. Gets him to pop it up to Corcoran.
Now Jake Elmore will come up. Elmore tonight has walked and struck out a couple of times. Hitting at 150. Takes a strike from Pimentel. Hitting with Longoria at second, Geyer at first. Good breaking ball to the outside corner. 0-2. Steve Geltz looks like he is the one they're going to call on for the top of the 9th inning. Brad Boxberger, their closer, had been up, but when the 4th run, or the 6th run, I should say, crossed home plate, he sat down. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Rays 6 runs on 8 hits tonight. Rangers 2 runs on 6 hits. We'll come back and try the 1-2 pitch again. Looking forward to the Ranger 9th inning. It'll be the bottom third of the order. Corcoran, Rosales, and DeShields. With the ball club needing at least 4 to tie. Pimentel checks the runners. Base hit to right field. Longoria coming around third. Here comes the throw from Chu. It is not in time. It gets by Corcoran. Coming down the line from third and scoring is Geyer. The throw eludes Corcoran. 2 more come in, and the Rays now have an 8-2 lead.
Elmore pokes one into right field. Chu comes up throwing. Ball was out over the plate a little bit. Elmore did a nice job of getting that ball down. Chu comes up throwing. Corcoran just couldn't pick it. Got by him. They had a chance at the plate. But Pimentel didn't get the ball to Corcoran in time. 2 runs come across in that one.
So it's now a 6-run advantage for the Rays. And the pitch gets by Corcoran. No, down to third goes Elmore. As Pimentel uncorked a wild pitch. Scoring on that last play be an RBI single for Jake Elmore. He advances on the throw. The error charged to Shin-Soo Choo in right field allowed the second runner, that was Brandon Geyer, to score from third. And now Elmore going from second to third on the wild pitch. A strike to Rivera. It is 1-1. Just when it looked like the Rangers could get something going here in the latter stages of this game, the Rays answer it. Rangers not able to prevent the Rays from getting back all the runs the Rangers scored, +1. 1-2 to Rivera. Rivera 0 for 3 tonight. Now 2-2. Stolmy Pimentel about ready to throw his 44th pitch of the night. Broken bat roller to short. On the mark, the throw from Elvis. That'll do it. But the Rays strike for 3 runs on 4 hits. There was an error and 1 man left. We're going to the 9th. It's now the Rays 8 and the Rangers 2.
Who now trail 8-2 and have lots of work to do as we head to the top of the 9th inning here at Tropicana Field in St. Petersburg, Florida. Whether they dig themselves out or not, we will do this all again tomorrow. And Ross Detweiler will try to pick up where he left off the last couple of starts. In fact, he's got a 2.19 ERA in his last 2 starts against Jake Odorizzi. Note, the early start time, it's a 5 o'clock first pitch. That means Rangers Live comes your way at 4:30 tomorrow afternoon. It's all brought to you by AT&T U-verse. It's game 3 of 4 against the Rays tomorrow, guys.
All right, John, thank you. Well, the 27-year-old right-hander Steve Geltz is on now to start the 9th inning for the Rays. Geltz will face the bottom of the order. Carlos Corcoran leading things off. Rangers trailing by a half dozen. And the first pitch is low for ball 1. Geltz came over from the Los Angeles Angels at the end of spring training of 2013. He was in 11 ball games last year for the Rays. All out of the bullpen. Went 0-1 with a 3.24. Geltz, a rather burly right-hander at 5'10", 210 pounds. And Corcoran fouls back the next pitch. No, ball and 2 strikes. Carlos tonight 0 for 3, a couple of strikeouts and a ground ball to first. Target set outside, and he got him swinging. Tailing fastball, and Geltz gets a strikeout, 1 away for Adam Rosales.
Geltz going to that fastball on the outside part of the plate for Corcoran. Corcoran couldn't get to it. Just kind of waved at it.
Geltz, a fastball and a slider. Also throw a split-fingered fastball for, I guess, his changeup. Rosales 1 for 3 tonight with a home run. He homered in the 8th inning off Nate Carnes as he led things off. Oh, 1 pitch coming. Rosales now a 176 average. One ball, 2 strikes.
Adam didn't get cheated on that one.
No, he did not. Rangers have had a little trouble. A lot of the outs, I'll put it this way, a lot of the outs they've made the last 2 nights have been the result of strikeouts. They had 14 strikeouts in last night's game. And so far tonight, they have 12. So they've been punching out with regularity. But you don't pay any attention if you're winning 5-4.
No, you don't. I was going to say that. I don't think anybody ever would have realized they struck out 14 times in last night's ball game.
Yeah.
It's funny what winning does for a lot of stats.
Yeah, makes up for a lot of blemishes. 2 balls and 2 strikes. Adam Rosales always in motion. Rivera flashing the signs out. Geltz picks one out. The 2-2 pitch. Popped up. Second baseman Beckham going out in shallow right center field. That is out number 2. Now Delino DeShields will come up. Delino's had a good night. He is 2 for 3. He's singled each of his last 2 times to the plate. He's hit the ball right back through the middle. Has a stolen base tonight.
You know, the more at bats he gets, the more consistent at bats he gets, the more comfortable he looks in that batter's box.
Mm-hmm. .207 the average now after those 2 base hits. And behind in the count, 0-2. Geltz studying his signs. Delino DeShields waiting. Geltz from Ransomville, New York. First full season at the major league level. This is inside. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Now the right-hander's ready. And the pitch skied to right field. Sousa comes in, makes the catch, and that will do it. So the Rays too much for the Rangers tonight as they're able to add on late and they win going away. The final tonight, the Rays 8 and the Rangers 2. The series is all knotted up at 1 game apiece, and the Ranger 4-game winning streak has come to an end. They'll have to come back tomorrow and start a new streak. We'll come back to Tropicana Field to wrap things up for you right after this on Fox Sports Southwest.